Picture rolling fields, the low rumble of heavy metal, and memories from the early 1900s still kicking up dust. Today, we're counting down the 10 oldest American tractors still working, proving that iron never quits. If you love nostalgic farm power, stick around, because we're celebrating a fleet of steel that refuses to retire. Number 10. Allis-Chalmers Model B. The Allis-Chalmers Model B emerged in 1937 as a small farm hero. Crafted with affordability in mind, it arrived at a time when many American farmers were transitioning from teams of horses to mechanical workhorses. Sporting a 4-cylinder engine that produced around 20 horsepower, it wasn't just about raw strength, it was about dependability, fuel efficiency, and maneuverability. These traits quickly made it a bestseller among smaller operations that needed a compact yet sturdy tractor. One of the main appeals of the Model B was its straightforward design. The controls were intuitive, making it easier for farmhands to jump on and get to work without extensive training. Allis-Chalmers also knew how to keep costs down, so these tractors often came with simplified features that were easy to repair or modify. That straightforwardness explains why so many still run today. If something breaks, a dedicated owner can usually fix it with off-the-shelf parts or resourceful craftsmanship. Culturally, the Model B reflected the shifting face of American agriculture. Big farms were booming, but tens of thousands of smaller homesteads still dotted the landscape, and not everyone could afford a high-horsepower monster. The Model B helped many family farms modernize without drowning in debt. This tractor's significance also shines through in countless tractor clubs and antique shows where proud owners exhibit their meticulously restored Bs. That being said, these little orange icons played a big role in helping folks get more done with less. Today, you can still see Model Bs chugging along at plow days, local parades, and small-scale fields. They've got that enduring presence, testament to quality engineering and the genuine affection of farmers who've stayed loyal for generations. Number 9. Oliver 70. The Oliver 70, first introduced in the mid-1930s, marked a real style and performance leap for tractor design. Sporting an aerodynamic look unlike most boxy tractors of its day, the Oliver 70 carried a smooth, curved hood that gave it a futuristic flair. However, this machine wasn't just about appearances. Its 6-cylinder engine could churn out roughly 22 horsepower at the drawbar. More than capable of handling a variety of field tasks, Oliver had formed out of several mergers, including the Hart Par tractor brand. By the time the 70s came along, the company was eager to showcase a more modern approach to farm machinery. Its streamlined design reduced wind drag, a marketing point back then, though most farmers cared more about its reliability and relatively economical fuel consumption. Easy-to-use gears, comfortable operator platform, and decent ground clearance added to its popularity. It wasn't a brute force tractor, but it was nimble, fast for its time, and solid on the job. On the cultural side, the Oliver 70 gained a following among those who appreciated a bit of style in their workhorse. Displaying one at the county fair or using it in parades was a point of pride. Even if some farmers initially scoffed at its sleek shape, many came around once they saw how capably it pulled implements in the field. Decades later, Oliver 70s can still be found tilling soil on smaller plots or appearing at vintage tractor events. Devotees praise the simplicity of its design. It's a relatively straightforward machine to work on, and parts can still be sourced or fabricated by enthusiasts who keep these old-timers running. For many collectors, the Oliver 70 isn't just a piece of equipment, it's a conversation starter, a nostalgic artifact of when American tractor makers started blending function with a bit of form. Before we move on to the next one in the list, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thanks to all of you who do. Number 8. John Deere Model A. Introduced in 1934, the John Deere Model A quickly became a staple of the letter series that would define the brand's reputation for decades. This tractor delivered approximately 25 horsepower at the drawbar, enough to handle plowing, planting, and cultivating for mid-sized farms. Sitting higher off the ground than some competitors, it also offered a comfortable ride. even if most farmers back then just appreciated the fact it didn't shake them to bits on rough fields. A big selling point was its famous two-cylinder Johnny Popper engine, named for the distinctive exhaust note that enthusiasts can still recognize from a mile away. While the number of cylinders might seem small for modern standards, John Deere's engineers designed these engines for torque and easy maintenance. The Model A's magneto-ignition system was another reliable feature. If the battery failed, a farmer could still hand-crank the tractor back to life. Beyond technology, the Model A was part of an American brand identity that soared during the mid-20th century. The green and yellow color scheme became iconic across the country, symbolizing sturdy, no-nonsense farm equipment. Seeing those bold Deere colors crawl across a field still evokes nostalgia for simpler times when families worked the land with fewer gadgets and more elbow grease. John Deere Model A's remain popular in antique tractor clubs and shows, and not just as static displays. Many owners keep theirs fully operational, using them for plow days, hay rides, or local community demos. Parts are surprisingly attainable thanks to the massive network of collectors and reproduction specialists who refuse to let these relics fade into obscurity. Today, spotting a Model A in action feels like stepping back into a scene from the 1930s, proving that sometimes the old ways still get the job done just fine. Number 7. Farmall Regular. In 1924, International Harvester revolutionized farming with the first Farmall, often referred to retroactively as the Farmall Regular. Although it looks primitive by modern standards, this tractor was the game changer that led to the entire Farmall line, a name that became synonymous with flexible, all-purpose farm machines. The Regular offered around 13 horsepower at the drawbar, which might not sound like much now, but at the time it was a monumental leap forward for small and medium farms shifting away from horse-drawn equipment. Before the Farmall Regular, farmers typically needed separate machines for different tasks, a heavy tractor for plowing, and a lighter one, or actual horses, for cultivating row crops. The genius of the Farmall concept was to create a single tractor that could do it all: plow, plant, cultivate, and even harvest, by simply switching out implements. This multifunctionality helped many agricultural communities modernize faster, saving time, labor, and money. One iconic feature of the Farmall Regular was its high, narrow design. The elevated clearance allowed it to pass over crops like corn without damaging the plants. Though you had to watch your balance on uneven terrain, the design was a revelation for row crop farmers. Culturally, the Farmall brand became a household name, and red-painted Farmalls started showing up on farms across the United States. Today, the Farmall Regular remains a darling of tractor enthusiasts who appreciate its historical significance. You might see one at a local fair, belching smoke yet still going strong. Some folks keep them around for light chores, while others maintain them purely for the joy of turning back the clock. Regardless of usage, the Regular's legacy is secure. Nearly every modern row crop tractor owes something to the pioneering spirit of this reliable old red machine that redefined all-purpose on American farms. Number 6. McCormick Dearing 1020. The McCormick Dearing 1020 debuted in the early 1920s under the International Harvester umbrella. Though overshadowed in popular memory by the Farmall series, the 1020 was an early attempt by IH to create a sturdy, affordable tractor that could replace both horses and steam-powered behemoths. Its name signified its horsepower range, about 10 at the drawbar and 20 at the belt pulley, enough grunt for general duties like plowing and threshing. One hallmark of this tractor was its heavy, cast-iron construction, which gave it excellent traction but also substantial weight. Early models ran on kerosene or distillate, fuels that were cheaper than gasoline at the time. This thriftiness made the 10-20 appealing to farmers operating on razor-thin budgets. Although it lacked the streamlined engineering of later models, it delivered on reliability. If something did break, chances were good you could fix it with a few wrenches and a well-stocked barn workshop. Over time, the McCormick Dearing brand laid the groundwork for what would later become recognized simply as International Harvester. This tractor represented a key transitional stage, moving from the era of massive steel lug power units toward more nimble machines. In fact, many 10s to 20s were sold with steel wheels, but farmers often upgraded to rubber tires as those became affordable and more readily available. The 10 to 20 might not be the most glamorous piece of equipment, but it served as a dependable workhorse during a period when American agriculture was shifting gears. Smaller farms that couldn't quite justify or afford top-of-the-line models found a friend in the 1020. Even today, you can sometimes spot these tractors still running at antique tractor pulls or in the back corners of rural fields, chugging away with that distinctive sound of an old IH engine. It's a slice of American farming history that continues to earn respect from tractor fans and seasoned farmers alike. Number 5. John Deere Model D. The John Deere Model D, introduced in 1923, holds a special place in tractor history as the very first tractor to carry the John Deere name. It's sometimes called the tractor that built a dynasty, laying the foundation for all of the iconic green machines that would follow. With a 2-cylinder horizontal engine generating roughly 27 horsepower at the drawbar, the Model D became a dependable partner on countless American farms. One of the Model D's claims to fame was its remarkable longevity. Production ran for 3 decades, an astonishing run that spanned 1923 to 1953. Over those years, Deere made various upgrades, but the fundamental design and reliability remained consistent. Farmers appreciated its simple mechanics, the availability of parts, and a robust frame that withstood punishing work conditions. Whether plowing tough sod, running a belt-driven grain thresher, or powering a sawmill, the Model D proved it could handle the load. Culturally, this tractor symbolized John Deere's shift from a small plow company to a major force in farm machinery. Its success propelled Deere into a leading position in the industry, competing head-to-head with other giants like International Harvester. At a time when the horse-to-machine transition was still underway, the Model D showed farmers that mechanical horsepower could be just as reliable as the 4-legged variety, and a lot easier to feed during winter. Even in the 21st century, some Model Ds remain operational, thanks to dedicated restorers and collectors. You'll see them at tractor shows, parades, and even the occasional working demonstration where they'll run a vintage baler or feed grinder. That pop-pop exhaust has its own nostalgic allure. The fact that so many Model Ds are still around and still running stands as testament to John Deere's early commitment to durable, farmer-friendly design. Number 4. Waterloo Boy Model N. The Waterloo Boy Model N, introduced in 1917, might not be as famous by name as the John Deere or Farmall lines, yet it played a pivotal role in shaping what John Deere would become. In fact, Deere purchased the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company in 1918 specifically to acquire the Waterloo Boy tractor line. This acquisition proved to be a masterstroke that catapulted John Deere into the tractor market just as the era of steam engines was giving way to internal combustion. Packing about 12 horsepower at the drawbar, the Model N wasn't a powerhouse by modern yardsticks, but it did represent a breakthrough in reliable gas-powered performance. It ran primarily on kerosene, which was cheaper than gasoline at the time, but the tractor used a small gasoline tank to start and warm up before switching to kerosene for full operation. Farmers loved this cost-cutting approach, especially during tight economic times. The Waterloo Boy's design was fairly straightforward. It featured an exposed engine, a large radiator up front, and steel wheels capable of navigating rough, muddy fields. Compared to heavier steam tractors, it was simpler to maintain and more efficient in smaller areas. This accessibility endeared the Model N to families making the jump to mechanical power for the first time. Culturally, the Waterloo Boy embodies the dawn of the modern tractor era. Even though John Deere put its own name on future models, the Waterloo Boy's legacy remains. It proved that a portable internal combustion engine was the way forward, setting the stage for the John Deere Model D and beyond. Today, working examples of the Model N still show up at antique tractor meets, often turning heads with their century-old design. That folks can still get these early gas tractors chugging along demonstrates just how robust and forward-thinking the original engineering was. Number 3, Fordson Model F. Henry Ford's impact on automobiles is legendary, but his imprint on agriculture via the Fordson Model F is equally transformative. Launched in 1917 under the Henry Ford and Son banner, the Fordson was revolutionary for its mass production approach. By manufacturing these tractors at scale, Ford slashed prices, making mechanical power accessible to far more farmers than before. Suddenly, small and mid-sized farms could afford a tractor that would replace their horse teams and boost productivity. The Model F had a 4-cylinder engine producing around 20 horsepower, enough to handle plowing, harrowing, and other essential tasks. One of its major selling points was weight distribution. Instead of a large, heavy front, the design placed much of the tractor's mass over the rear wheels for traction. While that setup sometimes led to front-end lift on steep inclines, it generally helped farmers maintain a good grip in soft fields. Beyond specs, the Fordson Model F's cultural impact was huge. Ford's assembly line methods meant more farmers could buy a tractor at a time when Europe, embroiled in World War I, was demanding American grain. Meeting that demand required faster harvests. The Fordson delivered that speed. Its affordability and availability paved the way for a seismic shift from animal labor to mechanized farming. Legend has it that early shipments sold out almost immediately, leaving waiting lists that spanned months. Though the Model F was eventually superseded by newer designs, it proved the power of manufacturing innovation. The notion that farm machinery could be built and sold by the tens of thousands truly changed the American agricultural landscape. Nowadays, you'll spot a few meticulously restored Model Fs at tractor rallies or vintage farm events, often still able to fire up and chug along. It's a testament to Henry Ford's vision that a 100-year-old machine can remain both operational and iconic. Number 2, Rumley Oil Pull. When most folks think of early tractors, they picture smoke-belching giants or temperamental steam contraptions. But the Rumley Oil Pull, introduced around 1910 by the Advanced Rumley Company of Indiana, took a different route. It used a kerosene-based oil mixture, which gave it the Oil Pull nickname. This tractor's massive single-cylinder or twin-cylinder engine, depending on the model, roared to life in a way that was unforgettable. Loud, powerful, and surprisingly efficient for its era. One of the key innovations was its cooling system, which used oil in the engine's cylinder head and water in a unique evaporative system. The hot engine air blew across a water bath, creating steam that helped regulate temperatures. This design minimized radiator size and reduced the risk of overheating, a common issue with early tractors. Farmers quickly learned they could run an oil pull steadily without many of the boilovers that plagued other machines. In terms of horsepower, different Rumley oil pull models ranged anywhere from about 15 drawbar horsepower up to 30 or more. Although those numbers might seem modest, remember these tractors replaced steam engines that required constant fueling, watering, and finicky boiler management. The oil pull ran relatively cleanly on kerosene, required less day-to-day fuss, and, crucially, was cheaper to operate than many steam rigs. Culturally, the Rumley Oil Pull was emblematic of a time when America was figuring out how to transition fully from steam to internal combustion. Advanced Rumley poured its resources into perfecting these machines, and for a stretch, they commanded real respect among large-scale operators in the Midwest. While the company eventually merged into Alice Chelmers, the oil pull name still conjures images of an engineering marvel that was ahead of its time. Seeing a Rumley oil pull fire up at a modern antique tractor show is like witnessing living history. Despite their bulk and age, many remain fully functional today, living proof that early 20th century innovation still has a place in the 21st century farming community. Number 1, Hart Par 3. Topping this list is the Hart Par 3, widely hailed as one of the earliest surviving internal combustion tractors in America. Built by Charles Hart and Charles Parr in 1903, this massive contraption wasn't just a novelty. It served as a blueprint for all the gas-powered farm tractors that would follow. In fact, Hart Par is often credited with coining the very word tractor, derived from traction engine. Hart Par number 3 was powered by a 2-cylinder gasoline engine that delivered roughly 30 horsepower, an impressive feat in a world then dominated by steam traction engines. Farmers were intrigued by the promise of lower fuel costs, simpler operation, and fewer of the safety risks associated with boilers. Although it was still large and cumbersome compared to later tractors, the idea that you could harness gasoline to drive a plow or power a threshing machine was revolutionary. This was the turning point that signaled the dawn of modern agriculture. Being first at something is rarely an easy task, and Hart Par faced skepticism. Many were used to steam, and early gas engines occasionally stalled or needed mechanical adjustments. But once folks saw the efficiency, the seeds of change were planted. Other manufacturers soon joined the fray, leading to fierce competition and rapid technological leaps. By the 1920s, gas-powered tractors were well on their way to becoming the norm. Hart Par eventually merged with Oliver, forging yet another link in the long chain of American tractor brands. Today, Hart Par 3 itself resides in museum collections and sometimes makes rare appearances at historical demonstrations. Its enduring functionality is a testament to the mechanical genius of its era. More than a relic, it stands as a living ancestor to every tractor in the field today, a piece of pure, unfiltered Americana that helped shape how we feed the world. These 10 tractors might hail from a bygone era, but their legacy speaks loudly. Build it tough, keep it simple, and it'll outlast just about anything. Their stories remind us of a time when dirt under your nails was a badge of honor and raw machinery shared the load. Jokes aside, there's real comfort in knowing that even a century later, these steel workhorses can still pull their weight. Hope you found this video helpful in sparking some good old nostalgia. If you love classic American iron and want more, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another vintage ride.